So here's my curve, and I've got under layout, I chose two panes side by side. I've got my side view and my perspective view, and in the perspective view, I've turned off the image plane. So I'm going to create a nerd primitive circle, and that's it way down there at 0, 0, 0. Bring it up, and let's look at how big it is. So maybe what I can do is just first, where's my edge? That's my edge, and there's my circle. Let's scale that circle at least so it's about the size in terms of height of the rib. And we'll angle it and then scale it again, and maybe we should scale, yeah. I've got the scale, I think, set to objects so it's more consistent. So we can get, now we're about that size. Now here, from the perspective you can see my shape is way wrong, so I have to scale it in the in the x-axis, I'm sorry. So now that's a little more the shape of my rib. Alright, so I'm going to actually try to attach this. I'm going to move it, and I'm going to hold down the letter C and see if I can't get it to attach or snap to curve. So I'm holding the letter C, and I'm going to drag from the middle right to where the curve is, and then right on the curve. And I want to make sure. So as I drag it along, I have the letter C still depressed, and I'm using the middle mouse, and I can watch that curve go right along that path, so I know I'm on the path. So now I'm going to say edit, duplicate, or Command D, and I'm going to take the duplicate and try to do the same thing. So again with the letter C, hold it down, move it right to where the path is, drag on the path with the letter C still depressed, and now I'm going there. And I'm going to double check in my perspective window to make sure I'm doing what I think I am. So I do have the path, the one circle there, the next circle is here. Now I think that part of the rib is going to go a little more in this. In other words, the rib isn't going to be, it's going to, that end is going to face a little more towards the medial direction. Duplicate it, move it, hold down the letter C, get on the middle, and then hold down the C and hang on to that edge. And here, I'm going to rotate that a little bit. So I'm still rotating in the world. I'm going to change the world to the component, so I'm rotating more. So here I think that I'm going to start changing its direction. Comes down here. Can do the same thing here now. Command D, move, letter C. It's coming right along the path. Maybe rotate it to fit more the direction of the rib. Take it back a little bit maybe. No, let's leave it right about there, right about where. Yeah, we're going to make that change. But I don't think it's going to. Kind of make more of that kind of thing. So when it's coming at the sternum, I want it to be a little more perpendicular. So it's coming around there at that angle, changing to this, and then going up. Now I'm going to make one more duplicate and move that as much as possible there. Alright, so there's my duplicate. Or did I not duplicate it? I'm sorry. No, I didn't duplicate. So Command D, There's the duplicate. Letter C, hold it along that curve. E to rotate it so it's consistent with the angle it's going to hit that. Alright, now, oh, I did have a duplicate. I'm sorry, I got 2 extras there, so I don't think I need this one. Or you know what I'm going to do with this one? I'm just going to move it a little bit more laterally, like right about there. So there's an advantage and disadvantage. You have too many of these circles, it can make it difficult to change things. If you don't have enough, it can make it too stiff. So I'm going to try, actually I'm going to take that one out. I'm going to try to keep this limited to less. So I'm going to go in my outliner. I'm not going to label these circles, but I am going to pick them up, select each one, and I'm going to select the curve as well, and I'm going to delete the history on all of them. And I'm going to freeze their transformations. Okay. Now I'm going to, I need to start with selecting these circles in the order I want them to be lofted. I can't just arbitrarily drag. They have to be selected in the order. Okay, so now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's see if we say loft. Get it? Now I'm doing a rib that's probably, it's one of the true ribs. So I'm doing like what, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th rib. And that means I'm going to go ahead and give it a little more number of polygons. The count, I'm going to raise the limit to 480, and we're going to apply that, see what we get. We kind of got what I think I was hoping for, yeah. Okay. Now, what I might want to do before I start modifying this too much is grab all of that and use the edit duplicate special and say one copy. I want to make a new group and duplicate the input graph. Now what that should do, if I'm correct here, is that should give me everything I just did. But it should, oh, I kind of got, oh, bad move. Look what happened, I didn't realize I missed an edge. Now here's my curve and my rib, because I didn't have another circle cut. It went inside there. Alright, so that's no good. So let's get that group that I made. That's the duplicate. And I'm going to get rid of that group. I must have grouped a lot of them by accident. I'm sorry. So here's my rib curve. That's so cool. But I'm going to get rid of that lofted surface. And I'm going to pick up a circle. And I'm going to add it. I'm going to duplicate it. Command D. Using the move tool and the letter C. I'm going to drag it. And then make sure I middle mouse drag along the curve. And then realign or stick with a position that's a little more consistent. Alright, now I think they're all other than that one are okay, but just in case I can say edit, delete by type history, modify, freeze transformations. Now I have to go back and pick these in order. Okay, so now I have 6. So I added an extra one to see if I can get a better result. Okay, so now, yeah, it's a little better. Now I'm on the curve more. Still feels like I'm kind of, yeah, see, I'm kind of shortchanging back there. I don't think I want to add another one though. Let's see if I can use one of the curves. Yeah, that one. If I can move and modify the shape of this curve a little bit more by moving the position of that. Okay. That's not a bad looking little rib there. This may be a little abrupt, that corner, so I may want to just take that curve and move it. It's not quite so extreme. Okay, now I could, let's say, hide the surface, or I could come over here, let's say, to my side view and say show and turn off the polygons for a second. And then I could grab that and hold down the letter C and make sure I'm moving that curve, the circle, in other words, along the curve. I can snap it to the curve. But I think that what I'm looking for now is I need to get this to work a certain way. And what's important right now is I need to have my vertebra back on here so that I can get a rough idea of whether that rib is going to reach. And it looks like it's okay. Let's see if I come back a little more. You can see that's the transverse process I'm looking at. I think what I'm looking at is, yeah, T5. Okay, so that's the one I want to get my rib articulating with. I can take that first circle, the one that's, it would make sense, to be honest with you. I probably could have done a smarter thing, would have been to create these in order so I knew which circle was actually at which feature. Now the other thing I want to look at is I want to make sure that is in the middle there between those two vertebrae. It shouldn't be just at the bottom, so I'm going to raise that up a little bit and maybe pull this one down just a touch. And now pull back and see how that affects. Let's put the polygons back on here. Okay. Alright, so I got a decent rib now. And we can manipulate that further with these circles. And it took us 6 circles, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 1 rib curve. Okay. So let's save that. Okay. Get back. See, that just feels like that rib at the front is kind of poking out. So what I'm going to do is get that curve, that circle, that one, and rotate it just a little bit so the rib is a little better positioned. So when I'm looking at it from the top, I'm seeing that small thin plane, and from the front I'm seeing that full extent. Alright, let's stop that tape here and then go to the next